So, given a polynomial, we're asked to divide it. We have here, and we'll go through the steps. It says here, divide x squared plus 14x plus 45 by x plus 9. Now, we think about just basic dividing of whole numbers, okay? And think of the process it would take you whenever you divide a whole number. Okay, normally the process is to divide, then to multiply, subtract, and bring down. For example, if we had just as a refresher, we have something such as 1,713 divided by 3. Okay? Well, first of all, we need to know our multiples of 3. Okay? Now, of course, we're not going to know the multiples of x plus 9, but we're going to be using our rules, the division process to find its quotient, meaning the answer. So just as a reminder, we want to see how many times 3 can go into 1,713, and then we're going to look at each digit that's under the long division sign. 1,713, that is called the dividend. Okay, 3 is the divisor, the number that's doing the dividing, and then our answer is called the quotient. Okay, so 3 goes into 1, it does not, but 3 divides into 17, how many times? We can get close to it, 5, because 5 times 3 is 15. And I want you to think of the process, not so much, especially when we get into the polynomials. What do we do? What are the steps it's taking us to get from one place to the next? Okay. So we're going to subtract 15 from 17. We have 2. Then we bring down. Okay. And then 3 divides into 21. 7 times 3, we have 21. Subtract, bring down, we have a 3. 3 divides into 3. 1 times 3 is 3. We have a remainder of 0. Okay, I was hoping I just picked these at random, and I was hoping that we had a remainder, but we don't. That's okay. But we have a remainder of 0. And then to check our work, we would take the quotient and multiply it to the divisor, and it would give us the dividend. All right, so we're going to use long division to divide this polynomial by another polynomial, and we're going to set it up the same way. Our divisor here is x plus 9. Our dividend is x squared plus 14x plus 45. Now, one thing when it comes to dividing of polynomials, you have to be aware of. You have to, number one, you have to make sure that it says to, number one, write the problem in long division form, and then the 2 checks. Arrange the terms of each polynomial, so that means the divisor and the dividend, in descending order. Okay, if it's not in descending power, we need to change that. We have to make it descending order. Then it says, if a term is missing, add a term of the form 0x to the r power. So if there wasn't an x here, then we would have to include the x, and our coefficient would be 0. And then we'll do an example of that. And it says where r is the degree of the missing term. And then we divide the first term of the dividend by the first term of the divisor. So x divides into x squared. This is where we're going to start. We're going to start with the first term of the our divisor, and divide into the first term of our dividend. X divides into x squared how many times? Can we say x? Because what you're saying, x goes into x squared, that's divided x times. So then we multiply. X times x. We have x squared. Then you're going to take the x, because this is a binomial, you're going to multiply it to the 9. X times 9. We have 9x. Because that our divisor is a binomial, now this is where you're going to have to pay close attention to with the subtraction. Okay? Remember before our whole numbers, when we divided and multiplied, at some point we had to subtract. Well, we only had just, we have our number here, for example, the 15. We're subtracting the 15 from 17, which was just one term. But when you have two terms, you have to subtract to both terms, not just one or the other. Okay? So what I normally do, and this is just good practice, because I need to subtract, meaning I'm taking the opposite, I go ahead and I take the opposite of that term and place a circle around it, because it's telling me that's the new symbol or sign that I'm going to use. Whereas this plus 9x, this was a positive 9x, it becomes a negative. So we do want this x squared to cancel out. Then we're going to subtract 14x and 9x. That gives us what? 5x. Then we bring down. Then we start the process over. X divides into 5x how many times? 5. Plus 5, and then we multiply. 5 times x, 5x, 5 times 9, 45, but don't forget to subtract. So that means this 5x becomes a minus 5x, and this 45 becomes, positive 45 becomes a negative. Therefore, we have a remainder of 0. Okay? So, our answer is x plus 5. That is our solution. If you want to know if our answer is correct, multiply x plus 5 to x plus 9. You're going to get this trinomial. Okay? So, the process for long division, you have it here, the first words in numbers 2, 3, 4, and 5. Divide, multiply, subtract, and then the 2 words here for 5. Bring down. Okay? Let's do another one. We have here divide 7 minus 11x minus 3x squared plus 2x cubed by x minus 3. So what's taking place with this? Well, first of all, what is the divisor? What is the expression that's doing the dividing? X minus 3. What is our dividend? 7 minus 11x minus 3x squared plus 2x cubed. Well, what must we do first as we write it out? Write it in descending order. Write our dividend in descending order. So here we have x minus 3. We're dividing that into 2x cubed minus 3x squared minus 11x plus 7. Here we go. We start the process. We're going to divide x into the first term of the dividend. That's 2x cubed. So x divides into 2x cubed how many times? Not just x squared, but 2x squared. Because this is how I want you to think about it. how I want you to think about it here. This is what it looks like. You're saying you're dividing x into 2x cubed, so its answer is 2x squared. Okay? So this is your division. So we have 2x squared, and let's multiply. Take the 2x squared times it to the x. 2x cubed. Take the 2x squared times it to the negative 3. That gives us what? 2x squared times negative 3. Negative 6x squared. Then we're going to subtract. This 2x cubed becomes a minus. The negative 6x squared becomes what? A positive. The x cubes cancel out. We want to add our x squares. We have negative 3 plus 6, which gives us 3x squared. Then bring down. And start the process over. X divides into 3x squared how many times? 3x. 3x times x, 3x squared. 3x times the minus 3, or negative 3. Not 6x. Negative 9x. Yeah, 3 times 3. Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. It's all right. Yeah, 3x times negative 3, we have negative 9x. Subtract. So the positive 3x squared becomes negative 3x squared. The negative 9x becomes a positive 9x. So the sign that I'm circling is the new sign that we're going to use whenever we add those terms. So our x squares cancel out. We have negative 11x plus 9x, which gives us 2x? Negative 2x. Okay? Then we're going to bring down the plus 7 and start the process. Okay? X divides into negative 2x how many times? Negative 2. Negative 2 times x, we have negative 2x. Negative 2 times negative 3 plus 6. Subtract. The negative 2x becomes positive 2x, and the positive 6 becomes negative. So we have a remainder of what? 1. Okay? All right. So when you do have a remainder, there is a way that you're asked to write it. And I believe in Math Excel it's already kind of set up for you to write it. Okay? So normally, way back when you were taught how to divide whole numbers and you had a remainder, you would say something like, I'm just making something up. You would say 53 remainder 2, you would put R2. Okay, well, we're not going to do that. All right? At least that's how I was taught it. You know, I know the math has changed somewhat. But when you write your answer, you're going to write the quotient plus the remainder over the original denominator. So I'm letting Q represent quotient, R represent the remainder, D for divisor. So when we write this out, we're saying 2x squared plus 3x minus 2 plus 1 all over x minus 3. And that's our answer.